How's that?
Got it.
All right.
Where?
Anawa, Wisconsin.
Got it. Over by.
Now, the DNC kicked off their convention last night in Chicago. I got a note here from Al, who lives in Tampa, Florida, and in Vermont. And he said, Joe, choosing not to watch the DNC as my blood pressure would not take what they're pushing as their agenda. I did want to share a comment with you from a young friend in the Winona area who immigrated from Bulgaria 23 years ago. He texted me around 9:15, this is last night, and asked whether I was watching what was happening in Chicago. He then followed up with the statement, I am as scared now as my parents probably were when they escaped socialism in Bulgaria 23 years ago. I find my friend to be typical for the immigrant class who came to America escaping former communist rule and failed states. They appreciate what America has given them, while so many Americans no longer understand or appreciate our great country. I will continue to avoid watching the DNC, but as usual, looking forward to the Garage Logic take on it every day during the podcast. Okay, that's Al from Tampa and Vermont. Okay, there's one way to say I didn't listen to much of the DNC last night. For some reason, Biden's appearance was very delayed. Mm-hmm. He didn't get out there till, I think, after 10 o'clock our time.
They have to wake him up?
Well, that'd be Chicago time, too. Well, napping. I wondered, is he napping? Is he okay?
Sure.
Why wasn't he out there? And he finally came out and did the boilerplate speech. But something that AOC said, she spoke apparently earlier in the evening, and something she said triggered my desire to say something.
I am here tonight because America has before us a rare and precious opportunity. In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class.
We don't know that.
And then, okay, that's enough.
Wow.
That's enough. She goes on to salute the bartenders and fast food workers and comparing that to Trump, which is all well and good. But it occurred to me, the people speaking have all been in power long enough to have accomplished something.
Right.
They haven't. This happens every time we have a convention. You hear this spiel about, we see a new day coming.
Right.
Well, what have you been doing then? What in God's name have you been doing?
Nancy Pelosi, Schumer.
Yes.
Keep in mind,
I was just getting warmed up.
Kamala Harris was also the deciding vote on increasing the tax on tips and wages.
Well, she's changed your mind.
Oh, but it's different now.
It's different.
Oh.
But my point is that, and then she cited that Harris is middle class, and thank God we have a chance to elect a middle class president. Well, Truman was middle class. Eisenhower was middle class. Nixon was middle class.
Okay.
I'm not done.
Okay.
Carter was middle class. What the hell's his name? Ford was middle class. Obama was middle class. Clinton was middle class. Rare, once in a while you get the pilgrims in there like Bush or Kennedy, but basically we've elected a lot of middle class people, and yet, and both conventions do it. But I would hope America's getting tired of this act where you come out and you pretend to have some new idea. Well, then what the hell have you been doing for 4 years? It drives me crazy. It's the same boilerplate spiel every time we hear these people.
Okay.
And now we have a new chance. Well, what have you been doing? You're the one who write the tax laws. You're the one who sets the table. You people have been doing it all. And now you want to come out and tell me that you finally have a chance to do something. What the hell? That means nothing. None of this means anything. I've come to that regretful conclusion that this is all BS. It's part of the third rail theater, and both parties do it, and they'll go back to be in the third rail and do what they've always been doing, and then 4 years from now, give me that same speech.
Okay, that was a topic of discussion while we were watching AOC last night. I said, what does she know? She's a bartender from, and my wife said, well, isn't that the American way? You leave your job and you go to office and then you go back. What's the difference between her and Harry Truman, who you just cited earlier? Why is she such an entitled bartender? Given this is the American way, you can run for office, and if you get in, you get in.
I think all of that was to be contrasted with the idea that Trump is some sort of robber baron, and that he ignores the people in this country who are fast food workers and bartenders and mechanics and what have you. And it was her way of saying what they've said every presidential cycle of my lifetime. They all say the same thing. We have a chance to fight for you. That's another thing I've always wondered about. What are you fighting?
Right.
You make the laws. Yes, Kenny.
They always mention a new day is coming.
Well, then what have you been
4
doing?
years down the road,
Yeah.
that new day has yet to arrive.
What are you doing?
We just need another 4 years, Joe. Then
That's
that
what it
new
is.
day will be here.
What the hell are you doing?
Give us 4 more years, Joe.
And
You're so dumb,
and
people.
then
You'll
4
forget
years
all
from,
about
and
it.
then 4 years
Yeah.
from now, you'll hear the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't change.
Yeah.
It does not change. It's-
There's hope. There's hope.
And slowly but surely, we're turning into kind of a hybrid capitalism country. We were noting that Harley-Davidson, now suffering sales losses, is backing off its supposedly woke push and its efforts to make diversity, equity, and inclusion more a part of their hiring. We've learned that they're now backing off that, right?
Renouncing DEI and other controversial company initiatives.
Well,
it's
here's-
critical.
yeah.
Oh, do you want me to read it?
Sure.
It's critical to our businesses that we hire and retain the best talent and that all employees feel welcome, the statement reads. That said, we have not operated a DEI function since, I thought I could do it with a straight face, since April 2024.
That long ago, huh?
And we do not have a DEI function today. We do not have hiring quotas, and we no longer have supplier diversity spend goals.
In a functioning capitalism, Art's Nut and Bolt Company makes nuts and washers that are sold for 9 cents a piece.
Okay.
Okay.
And Ralph's Nut and Bolt Company makes nuts and washers that are sold for 13 cents a piece. Upon examination, Harley-Davidson finds both of them to be of equal quality. So Harley-Davidson buys the 9-cent bolts because they're going to save some money.
What if Ralph is a minority?
Well, we're getting to that. In a DEI hybrid capitalism, Art makes his nuts and bolts. They're 13 cents a piece. And Wong Tong Chow, I'm not being a smart ass. Wong Tong Chow may be a Hmong nut and bolt manufacturer. He makes his for 22 cents a piece. And in a DEI hybrid capitalism, Harley would feel compelled to buy from Hung Chung Wo, even though they cost more.
It's going to cost a hell.
Well, that's hybrid capitalism. That isn't capitalism. But that's what DEI is. Or DEI might be even worse than that, that the nuts and bolts aren't even as good, but you still got to buy them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so back to the opening soliloquy.
Well, and Maria points out, also remember that they ripped J.D. Vance for leaving poverty and attending Yale.
Right.
So he came out of poverty and self-sufficient, and they rip him. He's not one of us.
Right, which is all they're playing there is class warfare.
Right.
Because everyone that spoke last night had a fine education somewhere.
Right.
So it's all silly nonsense, and it's a lie. And but the people who have been in charge are always the people telling us we have a new beginning.
Yeah.
Well, what in God's name have you been doing? there's not much more to be said about that because I'm essentially weaning myself off Walz. We don't have to go down the Chinese BS today. We have Kamala. We have captured.
Wait a minute. You're going to ignore what Walz said yesterday
What did he say yesterday? What did I miss?
about the communism line? I thought you said it before the show. Or was that Kenny that mentioned that?
That was from apparently he in class in 1991.
Oh, that didn't surface. I just saw the headline this morning. I thought that surfaced
Well, all
from last
kinds
night.
of things surface. No candidate can survive the scrutiny that's applied, especially if
Sure.
you're a Republican.
Right.
It's also true of Democrats. I mean, much is being discovered about Walz that he probably in his wildest imagination never thought would see the light of day. Things he told students 35 years ago that everyone in communist China is the same and everything is fair and everybody gets paid the same. And he apparently was enamored with that. It might remain. In fact, I think he does remain enamored with that just so long as he doesn't have to abide by it. Let the state pay me my $800,000 pension, and then you saps can think that you're all the same and it's all fair.
Right.
But they have things uncovered about them that they never imagined. Apparently, J.D. Vance, was pictured in a woman's restroom. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one.
Back in school, somehow he ended up in a woman's restroom. I don't know what the context was, but that was a picture of him. And there's something to do with a couch, which I have no idea what that's about. I read the book. If that's from the book, I don't remember something about a couch, that having a relationship with a couch. Is that
Do you
ring a
think
bell?
these-
I don't
You
know.
think these candidates are being covered equally, even playing field?
I think the two vice presidents are.
Okay.
I think the two vice presidents are.
It seems to me,
I don't think Kamala is being nearly examined strongly enough.
Oh,
it seems
for
to
sure.
me when it comes to Walz that unless it's a felony, he's forgiven.
Yeah. And again, I've expressed to you my amazement at that he is an utterly financially incompetent, and that apparently is just not a problem.
The
It's
thing
not a
about
problem.
yesterday in this Alpha story in the headline, he told communism is when everyone is the same and everyone shares, that he's a teacher, and you would think in his studies that he would have figured out somewhere along the line that Karl Marx and socialism, it's been tried in many different ways, and every single form of socialism is a failure.
Mm-hmm.
As a teacher, you'd think he would figure that out on his own, but yet no, he and a lot of the Democrats are pushing for this socialism movement,
And
thinking
given,
they're going to do it better.
given what we now know might be a strong component of his ideology, it starts to make reason that he spent the $18 billion surplus to create more programs. It stands to reason that he can look the other way on all of these frauds. It all stands to reason. Money, especially other people's money, doesn't mean a thing to him. It doesn't mean a thing to him.
It now makes perfect sense.
It makes
It
a
really
great deal
does.
of sense.
Yeah.
And this is how Minnesotans have been hoodwinked and still remain blissfully uncaring about it. Blissfully uncaring.
You mentioned the word fight. They're
What are they
for-
fighting? Who are they fighting?
Please tell me you've seen the newest Angie Craig ad,
I have not.
because it's basically, when was her last election? 3 years
She's
ago?
been
2
in
years
there a
ago?
while. Yeah.
But they might as well have just copied and pasted. Flannel shirt, driving the ATV.
She driving that.
I'm on my way to Lakeville. Like, what?
She did that last time.
Are we
Yeah.
buying this?
They're just
crap again?
recycling.
Is she fighting for
She's
us?
fighting, Joe. And it's got the farmer. Thanks, Angie, for fighting for us.
Fighting what?
What are we fighting?
What are we fighting?
rights.
Why is there so much
The
fighting?
rights of Minnesotans.
God, we're saps.
We
We're just-
really are. We are the biggest nation of saps that ever existed.
that ever sapped before.
And we're getting more sap-like.
Well, don't drag me
Yeah,
down
you're a
with
sap.
you.
Yep.
You're
No,
right
I'm
there.
not.
Get in line.
I see through all of this. It's just that my vote doesn't matter in this state
Yep.
because we're overrun by saps.
Kenny
We
is
are.
100% correct.
We are the sappers. Well, don't be a sap when you're looking for
Buy a map.
when you're looking for home improvement projects. Go with the people who've been doing it the longest because they've overcome all. You know what? They've